I always felt that to be successful in sales, you need to have the customer has to trust you and like you. You have to have a good product. You have to have a product in a price range that's competitive, and you have to have a service reputation. So you have like four legs of a table that have to come along. You can't win all four battles. You can't. If the customer doesn't trust you or doesn't like you, though you have a product that has a good reputation and it's priced right and so on, they're going to be looking for, maybe even subconsciously, for rationale and reasons or excuses not to buy from you. If they trust you, if they like you, if you don't try and be something that you're not, you don't try and be a know-it-all, you're capable of listening, they're subconsciously in the back of their mind, they're going to be looking for opportunities to give you clues of how to sell to them, and giving the customer an excuse to buy from you because they want to buy from you. But I think the real key in sales is having a mix of working hard and working smart so you don't kill yourself. You have to save something in the bank for the next day or the next week or the next month. And part of that process is reading and making determinations about how you're spending your time. If you do that successfully, it doesn't matter what the product is, as long as it isn't junk. You'll be able to sell it and have a good income from it. Not unlike today's generation, and perhaps every generation, I fooled around till I was about 27 with no real career direction. Took about 100 different courses in college without graduating, and after being married, I soon discovered that making $200 running a meditation center per month wasn't going to cut it. So these friends, happened to be meditators, said, "Well, Clifford, do you want to come work for us?" I said, "What do you got?" And they said, "Well, we sell printing machinery and used printing machinery." And I said, "Well, how do you do it?" And they said, "Well, you go into a printer and ask them if they want to sell something or if they want to buy something, then go to a payphone and tell us what they said." And I said, "I could do that." So I figured out how to do it, sort of trained myself. And there's a lot of freedom in the job because I'd set my own schedule, all commissions. My whole career I made commissions. And it's kind of counterintuitive. You'd think that you'd be paranoid that you got to make the sale or you're screwed. You're not going to have any income that week or that month. Because I was traveling around with a guru, having a grand time until I was 27 years old. I didn't have any specific job training. And so sales was an opportunity to make good income without going back to school. So I had to kind of learn some of the nuances of sales. But I always felt that one of the adages of meditation is that just see the job, do the job, and avoid the misery as best you can. Well, when you're an outside salesman, nobody's really watching you. They're just watching the results. They're not watching your one-on-one with customers and how you're reading the customers. You get rewarded by producing, and you get rewarded by producing more. And that was cool because there wasn't really any ceiling on what I could produce or make financially. And you sort of have to kind of fight the demons that are inside that are telling you you're never going to succeed, you're never going to get this sale, it's hopeless, and so on. And those are always rambling around internally. You have to have the confidence that you're going to succeed. And there usually was a quarterly comeuppance where you determine whether the draw that you have, which was nominal and not enough to live on, whether you had covered that or not. So that's not untypical of a sales job.
Can you explain what a draw is on a commission?
There's usually a program where you get a draw against future earned commissions, and then at a particular interval, once a quarter or twice annually, you make an adjustment on your income, and the draw that you receive is taken out. So your battle internally with the company is always to kind of stay ahead of the draw so you don't fall behind. Not knowing the answer to the question was a tremendous opportunity to connect with a customer, because you could always say, well, I don't know the answer to that question, but I will get the answer. And then your job is to go back and get the answer the next day or the day after, and they remember that, and then they start to develop this feeling of trust for you. As I have the same bias towards the used car salesman genre. I hate buying cars. I hate going shopping for anything. Truthfully, it's not a comfortable experience for me, but I also know that that's the customer's experience on the other side. So I sort of had to sell to a person in such a way that I would want in a way that I would want to be treated or respected when I was in the buying mode. And so that helped me. The most important thing I found was is that you need to speak about a third of the time, and you're successful if you can get the customer to be speaking about two-thirds of the time. I think salespeople in their naivete sometimes want to dominate the conversation to such a point that they're not hearing the signals from the customer, and they go off on a tangent that's a complete waste of time. People like to talk, and they like to be acknowledged for what they know. So, truthfully, you really want them to be feeling like they're deciding to buy what you want to sell them. It's their decision. It's not something that you're trying to sell them. It's something that they're trying to buy from you because they've recognized a need in having a conversation with you. And this would be the same whether it's a car or a piece of machinery or a computer or a software package or whatever. You want the customer to be focused on filling a need that they have determined for themselves, that you haven't shoved in their face. There is a lot of human nature reading of people, and if a salesman's going to be successful, they have so much time in a day, in the week, and month to focus on so many customers. And one of the tasks a salesman has to learn very soon is it determine whether this customer is ever going to buy something from me, or are they going to buy something in the next so many months. And then you have to evaluate your investment of time and energy on this particular prospect. Though you may like them, you may want to go golfing with them, you may want to go have a beer with them after work or whatever, but you are in sales, and there's a dynamic there, and the dynamic is to have an interaction that hopefully both of you can make a profit on. So you always have to be kind of focused on the probabilities of making a sale to this particular customer. And the salesman that spends all his time talking, he's not going to have the consciousness to be aware that the customer is giving you the signals that. So you have to always make and be assessing the customer. What are my prospects for success there? But only a small portion of the salespeople working figure that out. The other thing a salesperson must do is they need to learn how to manage their time. A good salesperson who works smart can outproduce an average salesperson working part-time. There is a burden and a need for a salesperson to keep updating themselves with new information about their product or their industry so that they don't fall behind, because the buyer is really expecting you to bring something to the table that they may not have thought of. And if you don't make that investment sooner or later through attrition, you're going to find yourself selling newspapers when everybody wants to read the information online. And whether we all like to acknowledge it or not, there is an aspect of sales where you have to steer the customer, because sometimes their mind is very confused, they're ambivalent, they don't know what to do. And partly why they've called you in is to get some objective outside perspective on what might be a process to help improve their productivity or their profitability. But it is a battle.